Hi, loves. Welcome to a new season of AW Villa Vibes, where the drama is hotter than a tropical sunset and the messy meter is ready to explode. We are only at week 1, absolute chaos, and we're just getting started. And I am here with my guest, Avani B, who helps me break down the drama, the chaos, and the mess. Hi, Avani.
Hello. How you doing?
I am still reeling over last night's episode.
Uh-huh.
I Everything was so peachy and so like
It was so
chill.
cute,
It
and
was
then
so cute, and then
we
shit hit
started
the
losing our
fan.
damn minds.
Okay, I
Okay,
want to start with the messiness first of all. Actually, no, let's not
let's
even start
let's
with the messy. Let's backtrack.
yeah,
So we had
let's
several
talk
cute,
about the peacefulness.
right. So let's talk about the cute couples. So we had Sean and Beatriz.
hmm
We had Trinity and
Bryce,
Bryce.
I have him in front of me.
Okay. And then we had who else?
Melanie and
Melanie and
Sincere.
Sincere, ironically.
We'll talk
And
about
who
that
else
later.
did we have?
Kenzie and Zach, and then
Kenzie
Anaya and Casey.
and Anaya and Casey. Everything seemed to be flowing. Everyone was getting breakfast. And then came the bombshells. And that shit changed the whole game. First of all, can we talk about how that resemblance of Gabrielle and Maluma? Because I think there's a
Girl,
little resemblance there, and I'm
that
liking
man,
it.
I'm not gonna lie,
I'm
that
liking
man
it.
is sickening,
I
sickening.
mean,
Like
we
you know me, I personally for USA, the best bombshell that has ever walked into that villa was Miguel of season 6. We have
it
not quite
hasn't been a
had
bombshell like that.
no, we have not before that and not after it until now. I don't like I still will say Miguel is my favorite bombshell.
100%.
Gabriel,
Gabrielle está, mija.
but he looks like trouble to me. I'm like I'm kind of like, girl, I hope and pray we make like we have like a Miguel moment where we're like, oh my god, this man scares me, and then it's like, oh wow, he's like actually kind of wholesome and like found his person to come
I
because
don't
he
know.
he did say he's had a 5-year relationship, which was very no offense, it was surprising to me.
Wait, why?
Well, you see, when the visualness of Gabriel, it's unexpected, and especially with the way that he goes about the villa.
Yeah, he gets around the villa, that's for sure.
He's very touchy in the. Actually, that's one thing I noticed this year.
He doesn't
The
put
guys
out
are
fires.
people are so freaked out this year.
So
Big
we had
guy.
so we had these couples. Gabriel comes in, Kadia comes in. I have my
You mean
opinion.
Kada?
Kada,
Kada
Kadia,
girl.
Kada,
Kada.
Kadya, Kada.
Kayda.
See, that's why I was saying it wrong.
Oh, it's
K
K. Yeah, it's Kada.
Kada. Okay.
Girl, don't. No offense. I don't mean this as shady, but it's also true. Don't be like Melanie now.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. I had a Kada. Sorry. Okay.
Well, I think before we even talk about them, we have to get into like this whole drama that was happening with Kenzie and Zach. That's
Well, okay. If I start seeing a guy and he says, I've never dated dark hair, dark feature woman, whatever, dark feature, a woman with dark features, I would kind of take that personal. So when Zach,
yeah, Zach.
so when Zach tells Kenzie, I've never dated, blondes or whatever, I don't know. I take it personal. I want to hear from people. Like, I took that like, wow, that was aggressive. Like, why do you have to go
Well,
there?
you know what's crazy though? I've That's not the first time that I've heard people on Love Island say that.
Yeah, but
Like,
one thing is to say I have a type. You could say that, but the way, I mean, why come off
well,
like that? It sounds a little,
I mean,
I don't know.
maybe I'm not remembering because it's been a lot happening throughout these episodes. But like, were they having the conversation like, was it a question of what's your type, and then it was like a oh, like I
Well,
normally. It,
I
oh,
didn't
okay.
hear
I'm
what's
just
your
like asking
type,
because I don't remember.
but so much has happened in the week. Could be
Yeah,
wrong.
that's why I'm
Please,
like I don't really
if
remember
I'm
because
wrong,
I feel
let us
like that would be a
know.
wild thing to say right off the bat.
It was like day
But
one or
to
two. I mean, they
no,
had
it
just
had no, it
connected.
had to have been day one because by day 2, remember, that's when
the bombshells.
they were coming in already. And so I guess here my thing too is also like the one thing I have noticed so far is we are only 4 or 5 days in. Like by today for them it would be like 5 days, I guess.
This
But
shitstorm
there no, but not
process.
even that, but like it feels like people up until the bombshells came in, we're very married off already. Like
Oh,
by
we need
in
we
older seasons, we had it was taking like at least 2, sometimes 3 weeks before people were like, "You know what? Like this is a couple I really want to focus on. It's going to take a lot for me to move out from this." And I feel that we've had a lot of like, "No, I'm already locked, pretty much like I'm locked in with you." Like there's a lot of exclusivity like kind of feels going around
well,
when it hasn't
undeclared
undeclared, yeah. But it's
exclusivity,
just
yeah.
like no one's really getting to know each other. And then like when they do, like at least in my personal opinion, I don't think you owe it to anyone to necessarily like you don't have to be like a oh, but you're my friend, so I don't want to go after your like you don't have to do that. But do I think it's nice to have
Well, it
we will talk about that in a second. But like,
I'm
do
sorry.
I think at least you should say, regardless of whether it's the like one of the guys to like one of the guys or one of the girls to one of the girls, do I at least think you should say, "Hey, I just want to let you know I do intend on pulling this person for a conversation. I just wanted to let you know before I did it, just so that you don't feel like blindsided by it later." Absolutely. And
Example
I don't think
A,
we
Kenzie and Beatriz.
yeah, and I actually think that conversation went really, really well. Like
They took
it
care of
could
it.
yeah, but I think Kenzie wasn't looking at it like I think she definitely was more in that mindset of I'm vulnerable, I'm single right now, yada yada yada. They and I think that it was just like a super open, like really chill conversation. I actually think that was probably one of the best conversations around that I've ever seen in the past few seasons. I think it could have gone worse, but it seemed like they were pretty much at a
Yeah,
relatively
I didn't
decent
see any
understanding.
animosity.
Yeah, and then we have other conversations that we'll get into.
I
Girl.
do wanna get into a little bit about the girls' girl
Mhm.
irony, which right now the girls group is imploding, I guess is the word.
I have my
But
comments and opinions.
okay, so backtrack. So
Uh,
now we have, Beatriz
mhm,
walked away from Sean.
mhm.
I call him I'm calling it daddy issues only because he's
You
a
know
daddy
you know what's the funny
and
thing? They were supposed to it seemed like they were supposed to continue getting to know each other, and that just, like, kind of flaked out. I honestly
right now.
now seeing
Although
the
Corbin
differences
has thrown a whole different layer of
you know
complexity
what
to
though?
this.
I gotta give it to Beatriz. She's the only one that's really not locking herself in. She's like,
That's
I
true.
like this guy, but I'm gonna
That's
continue
true.
getting to know people that seem interesting to me. And which is also what he's doing. Like they're
That's
both doing it and they're communicating about it, which I do appreciate.
yes.
Like, cause she went to him and she was like, hey, I just wanna, make sure you do like still
Transparency.
like first thing and like that we are still vibing and he was like yeah for sure and then they were like you know what like I understand we're still getting to know each other we're still getting to know other people to see what we want to do and that's fine I just wanted to make sure you and I's like connection is still there and it's not like you're lying like you're not like just leading me on to wait and
No,
I appreciated the
100%.
fact that they had
I
that
I
conversation
I I
I
do
think that's a
appreciate that that's the
conversation
game.
that what's that
Sincere Melanie.
Melanie and Sincere should have had
Well, okay. There's just so much that went on in 1 week, but we're
yeah
gonna try to get through it in 30
hmm
minutes. Try. So, Melanie and Sincere, they
yeah
locked in from the beginning. They've been
hmm
playing house for the whole week they've been there. And then he pulls out Kata for a chat because
yes
he did, although he's spinning it differently.
Yeah, no, for
You
sure.
pull out
But
someone for a chat, you pull out someone from a
yeah,
chat, but he's kind of trying to spin it like I didn't have any ulterior motives. I'm like, dude, this is kind of the game.
I mean, yeah, which again, it's fine if you want to pull someone for a chat. And this is where I start to question things. It's because
Melanie
she's saying
crashed.
no, she's saying that he was like,
Pero
"Oh, you're my only one," blah 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 blah. And then he's like, "Well, I thought we were like continuing to get to know people." And I think obviously as usual, we're not seeing certain conversations.
right.
This is also what happened last year. This was a big issue last year with conversations not being shown or, you know, conversations not being held between couples.
Okay, but I don't think they had a conversation because Melanie, they seem, first of all, the communication is awful. They are not talking about what they're doing, how they're moving. I don't see it, although he did finally pull Melanie for a chat, and that didn't go well because she was like, I'm
Well,
not gonna
that's
hear
the
it.
thing, and but that's what I know because of that conversation. Like, I kind of kept that in mind, but then we also at first I was like, okay, you know what? I kind of understand her. I kind of get it. But then also seeing how she dealt with the later conversation with her and the girls, now I'm kind of looking at that one differently. I think I'm starting to wonder, does she have the story set in her mind the way it's set, and for her that's validation enough to kind of go about
Well,
things
well,
however she
now
pleases.
she's changing her tune
Well, and so here,
after last night. So I want to go back to Melanie and Sincere. Do you think that Melanie just attached herself to Sincere way too quick and she overreacted?
because unfortunately, like when you think about it, when the so and it's even like the same thing with like Kenzie already crying about the sack situation. They had 24 hours initially with their original people, right? Bombshells come in, those people are given 24 hours with the bombshells, right?
Right.
So by the time the bombshells come into the villa, each person has only had about 24 hours, 48 if you're lucky. I think, and especially because we were only in the first week, people should have been getting to know each other, and it's perfectly okay to talk. I think it is okay to have a conversation with someone, just to even like, given the fact that Kato was new to the villa, I don't think Sincere and her had even had a conversation prior to that. I think to an extent it was okay for him to say, again, do I think he should have spoken to Melanie before he was gonna like do it? Yes. But or immediately after? Yes. But that could have also been like a hey, I just wanna like, you know, just pull you real quick, like talk to you. And he could have very easily after that conversation said, no, like I think she seems nice, but
Yeah,
like
I do.
do also think that Melanie attached herself to him very quickly because she's not having other conversations. And now she's having conversations with people to be petty and out of spite. And so it's
That's
like,
true.
it's not, now it's suddenly, it makes Sincere having that conversation look more genuine than what she's doing. So now it's like, I can't even like, I feel like right now I can't fully like be in defense of her because she's now kind of worse than he is.
Well, I think one thing that I'm going to mention is, Kenzie had a meltdown when Zach went with Kata, right? I think it's worth mentioning that I don't necessarily think these moments are about, oh my God, I am obsessed with this guy. Like I want him, like he's my man. Like I think sometimes it's more like your ego gets
Yeah.
crushed. So especially, all this is being filmed and they're basically like, oh my God, he doesn't want me. He picked someone else. It's like when you're in school and you're picking friends and you don't get picked. So it's that type of thing. So
Yeah.
when I look at those crash out moments after 24, 48 hours, it's not so much, oh my God, I'm in love with him. I'm obsessed. It's more like shit, my ego's bruised. So I think that's worth mentioning only
Yeah.
because we've seen enough seasons now that I'm like, wait a minute, this is, like it was only 24 hours. So I
Yeah.
think it was about the ego. With Melanie though, I do feel like there is a possessiveness there and
For sure.
you see it. Like you see it in her the way she moves. I'm like,
Well,
girl,
I mean,
this
I guess
man.
in this case, this is where we have to talk about the challenge. Like,
Wait, boss bitch.
yeah, this is
Wait,
see,
I
this is
have to
where
wait.
okay,
I
I'll
have
let
to
you go
get
first.
no, I just want to give Kenzie a 10 out of 10 for that
Oh,
death.
Kenzie, down. Kenzie ate.
That's I'm
She
like, who are you? And wait, nobody talked about that little kiss moment
which
with one of the female. Was
who is that with again?
wasn't it? Was it? I was
Was
gonna.
that Kenzie or no? That might have
Who
been.
was that then?
Was it Kenzie? Hold on, I
Wasn't
gotta go
it?
back to my notes.
I thought it was Kenzie. Maybe it
I lied. I
wasn't.
might not have notes for that.
I don't know. That
um.
moment was like, what the is happening right now? But I want to talk about
Yeah,
Boss
I don't have
Bitch.
notes on that. I think I was just like, what is happening?
So that challenge, Kenzie, we're giving you a 10 out of 10 for that split
Kenzie ate down.
moment. That
Kenzie ate
that
down.
was
That whole thing.
hot.
I mean, I have to give it
the
to her.
moment where Gabriel
I gotta give it to her. Kenzie, yeah.
I felt like, damn, should I be calling the fire department on them? Because
I felt like there's been quite a few moments this season that I already feel like, am I interrupting? I'm like, hello. Even with still, because we gotta stay on Kenzie real quick. Even with Kenzie and Sean the night before that challenge, when he jumped into bed with her, and I'm like, he got his hands around her neck and whatnot. I'm like, sir, am I interrupting you? Hello, is the room interrupting you?
I thought I would, yeah. I
Not to
who
mention,
else caught that?
Me and it's
was
all
like,
the
whoa,
Islanders.
that's
Everybody's
intimate.
like, did we miss a chapter? Like even the Islanders themselves, they're like, did we miss something? Because when did
But the funny thing is, Kenzie's now she's beginning to understand and play the game.
yeah.
Because she had that moment with Zach. Okay, it's done. It's over.
Even though I
Now
do
we're
I have to give it to Sean. Sean did point something out, and I was already kind of thinking about it. I
Sean,
forgot.
our resident ex-cop.
Yes, I do have to give it to him. I forgot who he was talking to. It might have been Sincere, but he pointed out, and I was already thinking about it, that Kenzie, it is a bit of a concern with her because he was obviously talking about Kenzie and Zach and the fact that Zach tried twice to bring up this conversation just to talk about what happened, like the whole Kata thing. And the first time, she wouldn't even look at him. She claimed it was so that he could never look at my eyes since those were the one things he complimented or whatever. But okay, the first night you heard about it, understandable. You don't want to talk right then and there, that's fine. But then she's constantly saying either she doesn't care, or she does blah blah blah, this and third, like she doesn't want to hear it, or she's like she wants to move past it, and how much she doesn't care. But then it's like, okay, so then he does the good thing to come back the next day, try to have another conversation. Immediately she's like, no, I'm good. I don't want to talk, or not right now. Never has this conversation. I fully agree with Trinity and Bryce for telling him, don't even bother having the conversation again. And Sean brought it up with, I think it was Sincere, and he was like, that is a point of concern because it shows some emotional immaturity, and taking that from seeing that how she acts with someone else and to bring it into your possible couple, that can be an area of concern if you do develop an actual relationship. Is this person gonna later on we get into an argument about something and they shut down completely? They're like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Don't bring it up. Don't talk to me. And never actually resolve the issue. Because realistically speaking, I think it was something that could have been resolved and could have been spoken about. And I think how she went about that was what really pushed Zach to just like, okay, then I'm going to continue to get to know Kata, because he never necessarily said that he wasn't, okay, sure, she wasn't his normal type, like what he normally would go after. Normally, it sounds like he goes after brunettes. That's fine. Technically, that she is a brunette, because the one thing I've seen a lot of people point out is like she's not a natural blonde, which so she does technically fall into the category of what he normally would look for. But because of her actions led to her own consequences of him not choosing to like continue forward with her. And that's when you really can't blame him anymore. Because I don't know if I was in that position, I don't know if I'd necessarily want to sit and try to get to know someone or explain myself or anything with someone who will very quickly choose just not to talk to you anymore for something that can be spoken about.
That's true. That makes sense. So I want to go back to that challenge because it was a crazy challenge, and I still am kind of
intro to Mr. Corbin.
Flashbacks about it. But I do want to ask: do you think that Kata was? She did say she's a tit-for-tat girl, but that question about who here needs to promote.
Well, so I understand
be promoted from their couple.
I'm not gonna lie, I was all for it after that because Melanie threw her on the thing out of spite.
Yeah.
And it's like, truthfully speaking, I'm not gonna lie, in this whole situation between the three of them, Kata had nothing to do with this. Kata was the only one that had nothing to do with this whole situation, and she was making it like, oh, it's on Kata. And so she decided to throw Kata into the slime for that. And Kata shouldn't. So I understand why Kata threw it, because I think it was worse for her to do it to Sincere than for her to have done it to Melanie just to slime her, for the sake of sliming her. Because what Kata said to her when Kata was like, well, I wanted to hurt you by not sliming you, but by doing it to him. Like, I kind of was like, you know what? I get it. Because that was more painful to her and hit her where it hurt more then had she just picked her to get like a tit for tat, I'm slamming you back. And like if you're gonna, because it's like if you're gonna drag people that have realistically nothing to do with the issue that you have with this like
Well,
situation.
she had the issue with Kata, but she also had the issue with Sincere. I mean,
Oh no, I think the issue is more with Sincere than it is with Kata. Because at the end of the day, Sincere was the one that pulled her for the conversation. It wasn't Kata. Kata wasn't like, "Hey, do you mind if I like come talk to you?" Like if she did that, that would be different. But it's also like Kata's that day specifically, Kata was just getting to know people. She had just gotten there, I think, that night before. So she hadn't at that up until that point, like, and even now, like, I wouldn't necessarily say anybody like she has any loyalty towards anyone because she doesn't need to. And then when you think about
that's
the blow up that Melanie has later on with Bea and the other girls, who does Melanie go to first? She goes to Kata and's like, "Oh, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you?" And Kata's and when we left it off,
you saw
Kata's
her
looking
face,
like,
right?
"I don't really want to talk to
What?
you."
Talk to
Because
you
it's
for
like, why
what?
would I? And I personally, I mean, we don't know where the rest of that conversation goes, but would I necessarily want to talk to somebody that just treated me like that? No, I'm not gonna sit here and help you with your issues. Hello?
Well, and I do want to get into this Corbin. Corbin?
That man's dangerous. That man is
22,
a problem.
Miami, 6'4".
6'4", 22 and from Miami.
That's a tall order. And then when I saw all the vultures when they were sitting like in one of the, cute
Damn.
corners, I was like, "What is going on?" And then Melanie was like all up in his face.
Well, so
And
here's
the
the thing.
girls, what do you think about that? Because the girls
Okay,
were
so
like,
so yes,
"He's all up in his face."
because I just rewatched it before we met back up for this. So I did rewatch the entire from the pieces of the conversation with Corbin as well as the conversation with Melanie. So to begin, I personally I don't think that that was an appropriate time at all for her to have pulled him. They were all very heavily still in conversation. It wasn't like the conversation died
So you
down.
think
They
it was
all the
wrong?
girls were actively still trying to ask him questions. And I think he was in the middle of answering a question. And it was so early in their group conversation that it just didn't feel appropriate, personally. And not to mention, there was also a moment because it was Corbin in the middle and Melanie was sitting right next to him. So, as it already is, she's leaning in his face. So, she's blocking off everyone else that's sitting next to her, which was Trinity and Kenzie. Kenzie at one point put her arm, like her hand on her arm, and kind of tried to move her back, like, like, can you like give me some
Yeah, I
space?
saw that.
And then Trinity also was like, girl, like, move back. And Melanie goes to her. I didn't realize it at first. There was so much going on, I didn't hear it. But Melanie says to her, she was like, "There's nothing for you guys to see." And so watching that, like again, and then seeing how she went about that conversation later on, I personally, I was really liking her, and I'm kind of like disappointed right now. But
Dominic,
I don't think she meant that sorry at all. I don't think she actually felt sorry for it. And
can
well, and it was also like I know we've kind of spoken about who our favorites are a little bit and stuff like that. You know,
well,
like
be
off the
prepared. I have
record,
questions.
that's fine. But I personally, I think the way that conversation, like, because obviously we saw the girls all having a conversation about that moment and her pulling Corbin and stuff like that.
And
It
Beatriz
seemed,
has some real reservations
it
about
seemed
that.
like they were all kind of in agreement to let Kenzie have the first conversation, which I also think Kenzie should have had the first conversation, just because Kenzie, in comparison to everybody,
She's not
she's
coupled
single
up.
and vulnerable. And not to mention, like, had the whole thing with Kata not happened, Melanie would have been fine with Sincere. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like, she would
that's
have been
true.
perfectly fine with him. She would have been like, Sincere, blah blah
I
blah.
mean, she even like tried to get to know KC, which I was like, what? I don't
Well,
know. I just,
it's because
I
like
mean, it's
after that,
fine.
but even like think of like I don't know if you remember Anaya's face when she said the people she was gonna pull. She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pull Gabe and I'm gonna pull Casey." And then she was also one of the people that was talking about, "Oh, this person should have had a conversation before they started pulling people." So then it's like now you're doing all of this out of spite. And so I can't sit here and say, "Oh yeah, she's just trying to get to know people," because she's not. She's trying to get back
Yeah,
at Sincere. And
yeah,
that's when I'm like, I don't like that. I've never been one to like any like things like that. Because it's like if you genuinely want to get to know people, That's fine. I absolutely think you should, especially in Love Island, when you're in a when they're bringing in new people for
That's
that
the
exact
goal.
reason to test whether or not you actually like and enjoy your connection, and then whether or not it's actually a strong one. That's the whole point. But when you're doing things out of spite, I can't defend you.
Do you think Beatriz was a little aggressive in the
I
way
think
that she came
I
off to
think there were
Melanie?
certain word choices that were a little bit much. However, I can't
I
lie, I
to
do kind of appreciate the fact that she was like, because when Melanie came over, she was all like, "Oh, he is fine." Like she's already kind of acting like that's her man in a sense. And it's like, and not to mention, I also just saw a clip where of when they first got there. Remember how the girls always make a pact every year, like to call each other out?
Yeah.
Melanie was the one that brought up the pact.
Mm.
Melanie was the one that was like, "Hey, can we make a pact for you got like for y'all to call me out or anything, or like us to call each other out if one of us is being
Play
delusional?"
the tape back, play the tape back.
So, do I think Bea could have changed how she went about it a little bit?
A little
Yes.
bit, yeah.
Do I? But I'm not gonna lie. Bea only was a few sentences in, and I still do have to give it to Bea because she went about that conversation very, like, very chill. She went and she was like, "Hey, I personally thought," and I do also appreciate because all the girls spoke about it, but Bea centered it around her rather than speaking for everybody. I think had she
Yeah.
spoken about like it from everybody's perspective, then it would have been more like of an attack. Like we all thought like, but she was like, you know what? I'm gonna speak to her.
Uh,
Don't worry. And she was like, I personally thought it was excessive. I think she knew all of them thought it was excessive because they had just spoken about it. But she said, I thought it was excessive. Like, and Melanie immediately is like, what do you mean? You need to relax. And it's like, once she said you need to relax, I don't blame Bea for at that point getting a little passive aggressive because now you just told me to relax when Bea was relaxed. Bea was very calm about it. And again, could she have maybe changed it a little bit? Sure. But she was still relatively respectful up until that you need to relax. I don't see it. This, that, and the third. And it's like, I can understand how that probably also caught Bea off guard a little bit because when Melanie was like, when have I done it? When have I done it? This, that, and the third. And it's like, I can understand how that'll catch somebody off. Like, my whole thought process is gone after that because now you're like, you took a conversation that could have been like down here up to here. And so that's like, that's kind of setting it off. And then you have Trinity kind of trying to like, bring it back down a little bit. And then it's like, do I think it was necessary like so we could check it now and like correct it? I don't think that was necessary. But at the same time, I'm like, when somebody gets that defensive, it's usually because they know it's true and they're
uh-huh.
trying not to. Like they're trying to make sure like it's not. And I think and then once she started smiling, I was like, "Oh, I
Well,
know what that smile means."
this
I was
this
like, we
is the
all of us have had that moment when you start smiling during a conversation when you're pissed off. That's like respectfully, because I know I've done it before. That's like the moment where my crazy's about to come out, and like I'm not trying to show my colors. We all know it to be true. I know everybody watching. We all know it to be true. You know it to be true. So then she goes, I need 10. I need 10. And she's like, and immediately after that, she's just like she was set off and she set herself off. Nobody else set her off. And because then you go into her confessional and she's calling her like a bitch and whatnot. So it's like, was Bea necessarily wrong at that?
this is a messy group. I mean, and it's only like week 1. So I want to ask on the messy meter scale, who's ranking this week? Because every day is different with this group. Who ranks the highest on the chaos scale? Let's
Initially
break it.
when we first started, it was actually the girls on night one because of when Sean said he was a dad, and they said,
And real quick, I do want to mention that. So last year was Huda. She had a child.
yeah,
She was a mom. This year it's Sean. He's a
mhm,
dad. He explained the whole situation,
mhm.
and it's almost like there's a lot of judgment there.
See, you know what's funny? I've seen a lot of conversation about that, and I've seen a lot of people trying to come at Bea for not wanting to, continue that. And mind you, I mean, I at the same time, I also don't necessarily think Bea was in the wrong. I think the way that she explained it was the way that I was thinking about it, with the red dot, green dot situation. And she wasn't saying like I'm breaking up with you or I'm done with this connection. She was just like the whole question was like, do you want to also continue to explore people? Or do you like, are you comfortable where you're at? And she said, I want to continue to explore, which is what you were supposed to do. Like, it was night, I guess technically, I'm going to call it night one because they did get there at nighttime, so I don't really consider that to be night one. I consider the full day into the night to be night one.
Okay.
So it was like night one. Yeah, I agree with you. Everybody should have been standing on that red dot. I think you could be like relatively comfortable with where you're at, but I think that's also how Melanie and Sincere got to where they are. But it's because of that. And I think the issue is like she did the proper thing of wanting to, or what I consider to be the proper thing, and they hadn't necessarily more conversations after that. It didn't seem
Well,
like anybody was having any
well,
conversations.
organically, they kind of deflated a little bit.
Yeah, they did. And I think that goes to show like it never would have been like a big thing. It was fine. And so yes, do I think oh wait, sorry. I forgot.
So,
I
so
was
on,
on a whole
so on the messy meter, who ranks
yes.
the highest on the chaos scale?
So yeah,
What's
the
your
girls initially started it for me, but then after last night, I don't think it's necessarily confusing as to who takes it.
we're gonna raise our Dominican flag, and we're gonna hope that our girl
It might be a
goes zen a little bit, because we
I'm not
need a
gonna
little
lie.
zen.
I
We need a little
my
zen.
current
I have
prediction.
faith. I have faith. Current
Here's my thing
prediction.
is that because the people aren't voting yet. We're not voting yet, but we do know tomorrow there's gonna be a vote and somebody's going home, and I'm fine with that because I think truthfully, right now at this very moment, I could easily see it being Melanie.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that Kata is also with Zach currently, I don't necessarily think. Well, I guess no, I lied actually. It might be a
What?
it might be a boy dumping
Why?
because
Well, Corbin.
I think yeah, Corbin makes it odd numbers for the boys. And if there's odd numbers for the boys, Corbin's not gonna go obviously because he just got there. Like
I think it would be Bryce, if anything.
My
Although
assumption is
he's so nice.
Corbin's gonna get to choose who he wants. And
Mm,
then after that, it'll be everybody else has to make a decision. And there's going to be one girl left. And I think it's going to be super dependent, truthfully, on what happens with
the recoupling.
Melanie and Sincere, as well as with Kenzie.
I don't think Kessie. I think she's got.
I think Kenzie has
She
Sean.
has a likable factor, so plays into it. That loyalty start forming. That's why Melanie can't just be on Melanie Island, because then
Well, that's the thing is
the
it
game.
she's I think it also she changed a lot of her possible fate. Like because I mean, you're again, like I said, like you're the one that brought up the pact. You're the one that was like, we need to call each other out when we're being delusional or when we're kind of like being a little bit crazy. And she is also the first one to start doing everything that I think when she said that, she was talking about calling out other people, but then it's like, no girl, you're the one that does need to be called out a little bit.
So, any favorite couples or not yet for the week?
Right.
Whether that means Sparks or Delusional Match, do you have a pick for a duo this week?
I don't know, cause like I feel like here's my thought process. I think Bea and Gabriel have great chemistry. They do. I don't know about
I
their
agree.
everything else so far. Like I think we're not really seeing a ton of the couples conversations this year. I've
No.
noticed we're seeing a lot more of like the girls conversations or the boys conversations. We're not seeing
Yeah.
joint conversations so far. So it's hard. It's kind of hard in that sense, but I would say them two, they have great kind of like a great chemistry. But then I think Zach and Kata are also kind of cute. They almost feel like really natural so far. I'm not super sure about Anaya and Casey. I've seen a lot of people really like them, but I haven't seen it yet personally.
Yeah.
I do think we have a couple like friendship possibly to lovers couples. For me, they're one of them, Anaya and Casey,
Yeah,
as
I
well
see
as
that.
Trinity and Bryce.
So I say
So
on the
I don't
messy
yeah.
meter, for me, it's Melanie, and I am rooting for her. She's Dominican. I'm gonna root for the girl, but
We
there
can
are
always get another Dominican later too.
hoping she'll outgrow this moment. And then as far as couple for the week, my pick, I could see that organic chemistry and that kind of vibe with Gabriel and Bea. I do feel like it's
Yeah.
just natural. Although Gabriel is, I don't know, man.
I mean,
He's a man.
I mean, I don't blame him, but I also think that's why I also kind of think they work as a couple because
They have an understanding.
the both of them are at like an understanding of it's okay to get to know people as long as we talk to each other about it. And I
Okay.
think that's what can strengthen their couple really fast too. As long as neither one finds someone that like they're like this person's really like, really might take it instead, then I think they should be fine. But
Well, this
yeah, I
Sunday,
don't
we will be seeing a recoupling, and we will be
I
seeing.
have to mention one of my favorite moments of the week.
Ooh, maybe we should incorporate that. What's your favorite moment of the week? I already said mine, 10 of 10, Kenzie. That desk moment, hard to beat.
The plant door.
Shit. Damn, Casey. I'm just saying.
He said I was
Dogs,
trying to be edgy.
dogs, cats, or plants. Yeah, that
He
was.
said plants. I mean, do I blame him?
Hopefully, that will define.
It was kind of a little bit sincere, but a little bit not, because he was like, I was trying to be edgy. I thought the girls were gonna like it. But then he was also like, I'm not really a cat or dog person, so I kind of like chose plants because I have a plant. So it was like, it was genuine, but it also kind of wasn't. It had a little bit of like, you know what I mean?
Between his facial expression and the
That man
plant
said,
moment,
"Ooh."
he has been memorable for sure. For
Yeah. So that's just
so
me personally.
all right.
Um,
So we
yeah.
have mentioned our favorite couple. We have shared our messiest on the messy meter, and we shared favorite moment. We're here for every last bit of drama, and we can't wait to hear what you are thinking. The villa is messy. The group chat is active, more like radioactive right now.
Right now, which is crazy. It's only week 1.
Well, we have 5 more weeks. I thought it was 8, but it's
I
5.
thought it was 8. I could have sworn
Oh,
it's
did
always been 8.
I?
I feel
Yeah,
like they
I
made it
don't.
shorter on us this year
I think
because
they did because I
I
remember it. I
I
remember it
remember,
late.
and I remember like July 4th always being like the halfway point. I
I,
remember
I
it kind of signaled the end, but I remember like the week of July 4th was usually like a halfway to like
that's
more
8.
weeks left.
So we have 5 more weeks, and we're just getting started. See you next week for more AW Villa vibes. I'll talk to you soon, loves. Bye.